Hey, yo, what? Wait. Look who just subscribed. Hey, yo, what? Wait. Look who just subscribed. Hey, someone gifted subscriptions. Thank you for that. Good morrow. Good hello. Good, oh god. Oh god. Destruction, chaos. Hi, bud. Yeah, oh. He's sitting on my foot. And now he just sneezed on my leg. So he's sitting on my foot, he sneezed on my leg. Let's give the dog a treat before I get destroyed so that I can properly say hi to everybody and thank the subs and the gifts and all that stuff. Now he's laying down. He's doing the thing where he like goes through all of the tricks that he knows in an attempt to get me to give him a treat. So let's just go ahead and do that. Let's give the boy a treat, and then we'll move on with our lives. Let's see. Yoink. Cool. All right. You want a treat? Come here, bud. Got to give the boy a treat. Got to give him a treat. If you don't give him a treat, bad things happen. I can attest to that. It's real. It's dangerous. You have to appease the eldritch gods, as they were. Hi, everybody. My name is Endeavorance. It is Thursday. Praise. June. Praise. 12th. Hell yeah. It is Thursday, June 12th. There's a year in there somewhere. Praise indeed. Before I get started, I want to say thank you to Itty Bitty Pixels. That's 9 months subscribed. Taliesin, 7 months. And Opossum Ollie gave out 5 gifted subs. So thank you so ridiculously much for that. And congratulations to everybody who got the gifted subs. My goodness. Thank you. We are on a hype train before things even start. Let me make sure that the dog is centered real quick. What you up to, bud? What are you doing, bud? What are you doing? Where are you going? Oh, where are you going with that dog? Where are you taking that dog? Where are you? Oh, now he's under the... Look at this. This is what I have to... This is what is under my desk. All right. This is what I have to deal with. Is this. All right, there's my, you can see my footrest, and then behind the footrest is dog. And that's I guess what we're dealing with today. Praise. So be it. I am wire stripping today. Throw those bills. Same. I am also wire stripping today. I might actually be literally wire stripping today. I'm going to be doing some like networking changes later on. So that might be me too. Samesies, bud. How's it going, everybody? It's a lot outside. It is a little fashy outside. It's a little protesty outside. It's also about to be a military parade outside. We have a lot to talk about today. And later on in the stream, I'm going to do, to get our minds off of everything that's going on right now, I'm going to do some diving into Proscenium stuff, my TTRPG project. I am making progress on the first playtest one-shot that I'm going to be running. And I've built out the 4 playable characters for the one-shot. I've got 4 character sheets. I need to turn them into a like shareable website. So I'll be building a little simple demo character sheet app to house these characters for early playtests. So we'll build that live on stream, and it should be fun. But you know, first things first, it's what am I doing? Streaming. Let me catch up on chat. Let me say hi to folks. Let me get settled in here, and then we'll you know, do our usual stuff. Hello to Lord Rose, Taliesin, Odd Llama, Epic Failure, Informal Goblin, Ada Scout, Acidity, Nani Fulani, Shadow Keyblade, Doc J, HM3FMF, Tomato, Sleepless Seraphina, Fire Drops, Itty Bitty Pixels, Kai Ollie, Tree Fox, Lucifer's Ace BF, and former Future Frog. Hello to Ciara Jean 1015. Hello. Welcome in everybody who is here, everyone who's hanging out. If you can hear the sound of my voice, I hope you have a good and safe rest of your day. But for now, we're going to be dangerous, live life on the edge, and move on to the next life together. Look at this sad animal. What are you sad about? What is this? What are you sad about, Flynn? What's the problem? Are you sad because the government? This dog is sad because the government. Look at him. Look how sad the government has made him. Oh, poor boy. Bye, Epic Failure. I saw that you only have a second, and also thank you for stopping by. But sorry. Maybe he needs an extra treat. Unfortunately, as much as I would love to give him another treat, I need to not constantly give this dog treats because he needs to lose some weight, and he needs to. I need to make sure his heart is functioning properly. So I would really like to not overdo that. Sleepless Seraphina says, I'm really excited to hear more about Proscenium. I haven't been able to drop money on a playtest, but I am patiently eager for more information. Well, that is happening. I'm making progress. I don't have a ton of spare time these days, but basically any spare time that I have goes towards working on Proscenium. If you're not familiar with Proscenium, I am building a tabletop role-playing game that is meant to be accessible, approachable, easy to learn, and as free as possible. The goal is to basically just have a platform for playing TTRPGs that is not owned by fucking Hasbro and is just like very malleable, very approachable, very easy to learn, but not like dumbed down, you know? So I've been putting a lot of work into that. I'm starting playtests private with other creators right now. And then I'm going to be moving on to patrons playtesting before doing more public facing playtesting stuff. So yeah, I'm really happy with how Proscenium's coming along. There are definitely a few things in the rule book right now that I'm like, I don't love this, but it suffices. It's going to change over time. That's just how things develop. But all in all, I've really gone through and tried to simplify, streamline, and make it as close to the stated goals as possible of being accessible, inclusive, and approachable, and extensible. So we'll get into all that. I'm really excited about some of the abilities in some of the character sheets. In fact, I want to share one of those real quick. I already shared this in the Proscenium channel in Discord. Does this work? Nope. Does this work? Nope. Does this work? Yes. That did not work the way I wanted it to work. What? Save image. Save. I just want to put an image on my screen. Can I just put an image on my screen? Thank you. Here's one of the abilities that one of the characters has. Fungal Thrall Exoskeleton. Choose a target in range which you can see. A gust of spores releases from your grasp, flying rapidly towards your target. Make a spark roll versus their defense challenge. Don't worry about what that means. If successful, they become wrapped in a fungal network which extends all around their exterior, responding to your will. You control their movements and can control their actions until they are no longer under the effect. While you control them physically, the target remains fully aware and can continue to react. At the start of their turn, they can make an adept muscle roll to attempt to break free. Otherwise, the exoskeleton is destroyed by damage that the target takes. So the idea is like, it's not mind control. You are like releasing fungal spores that can take control of someone by like wrapping them in a living network of fungal like mycelium and physically control their movements, like overpower them. Yeah, spore puppet. So they become your puppet. They're not I want to avoid mind control as much as possible because mind control is icky and weird and very triggering for some people. So instead of like mind control, I want it to be like, you know, you can take over an enemy from behind enemy lines and have them start swinging at their allies, but they still have agency. They can still like yell, like, look out, I'm swinging. It's kind of closer to like bloodbending, only it doesn't make that horrible sound that bloodbending makes. I don't know if anyone knows what I'm talking about when I say the sound that bloodbending makes. If you've seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, you probably know what I'm talking about. It's like the sound of your bones creaking. It's terrible. It's real bad. So yeah, we'll get into all that later on. I've got a handful of topics I want to talk through first, and then we shall see. Astrida, thank you for the follow. Thank you. Kai says, oh yeah, I know it. Ooh, and ugh, that sounds so bad. Yeah, if you haven't seen, like, okay, the Avatar universe is actually really fucking cool, and the concept of bloodbending, where like, if you're not at all familiar with the Avatar universe, it's essentially... Oh, Flynn's on the move. Hello. Flynn's on the move. Hold on. Let's see where he's going before I ramble about Avatar. Your bed? I'm going to hope that he goes to his bed. We're going to see. Oh, he's thinking about it. No? What? All right, he's doing his own thing. He'll get there when he gets there. So, real quick, I want to ramble about Avatar real quick. If you are not familiar with the Avatar universe, here's the super basic overview. There's essentially 4 types of wizards: fire, earth, water, and air. They can control fire, earth, water, and air. Each of the types of magic control has like some kind of super version of it. Or some of them have multiple. And for most of the time, water, the like special power that waterbenders have, is healing. So they're often seen as like relatively, I don't want to say weak, but like they are not seen as the biggest spooky, right? And they're usually associated with like uplifting healers. Except for their actual ultimate ability is bloodbending, where you reach into someone's body and control the water content in their body so that you have full control. They are your puppet, and you can just do that. So it's like, whereas everyone else is like, I'm going to hit you with a big fireball. You're like, I'm going to control you from within, and you are going to be subject to my every whim. And so it's like so overpowered that it gets outlawed in the sequel in Legend of Korra. By that point in the storyline, it gets outlawed. So it's pretty fucked up. And whenever somebody is being bloodbent, you hear this like awful creaking sound, and their body gets like contorted and shit because it's like pretty crude. It's actually kind of sick. Air is OP. Yeah, air is also OP. Yeah, well, they're all kind of OP if you're really good at it. But airbenders in the Avatar universe. Oh, he's doing the thing. Airbenders in the Avatar universe are able to give themselves air conditioning. So like you won't see airbenders wearing like coats or anything because they don't need to. They can control the temperature of the air around themselves. And then their ultimate ability is like pure flight and creating hurricanes. It's pretty fucking crazy. Anyway, I don't know why I'm talking about Avatar, but I am now, and I'm not going to stop because I could talk about Avatar for fucking ever. For fucking ever. Why aren't Earthbenders able to do the same is my big question. Earthbenders, why aren't they able to do what? Control people? Like control the iron in someone's body? I definitely could see a more unhinged version of Avatar in which someone like creates a spike of iron out of the iron in your blood and kills you with it by way of metal bending. That could happen in the books. If you haven't read the Kyoshi novels, there's also the Yang Chen novels now. But if you haven't read the Kyoshi novels, if you are a fan of the Avatar: The Last Airbender universe, and you haven't read the Kyoshi novels, there's only 2 of them. They're pretty short and they're really, really fucking good. It's essentially, what if we took the Nickelodeon filter off of the Avatar universe? There is so much murder, and like they answer those questions of like, if you ever watched the Avatar show, it's on Nickelodeon, right? So like even like Nickelodeon had to let them have murder in the show. Like there is on screen pretty brutal death in Avatar, especially in Korra. And in the books, it answers the question of like, what if they actually used their abilities efficiently to kill people? And it is terrifying. There is a dude who is an earthbender who's like supposed to be good. And at one point he just kills a main character by just flinging a like pebble of rock at bullet speed through the guy's neck. Pew! Just dead, just killed, just gone. It's fucking crazy. Like they just murk people. Like they let go of the notion of like, oh well, there's like respectful ways to engage in combat. No, dog, it's kill or be killed, and here's how it works. Other avatars offer grace. Kyoshi, I take lives. Yeah, so Kyoshi is like the strongest avatar that ever lived, like easily, and also lived for I think like 250 years, like multiple hundreds of years. And that they explain that in the Kyoshi novels. She essentially like meets this ancient assassin dude who's like super chill and meditates all the time, and essentially like figured out the secret to longevity, and then goes and kills people. Which is, you know, that's fun. That's a nice, you gotta have a hobby, especially when you're living for hundreds of years. But yeah, Kyoshi just kills bitches. The Kyoshi novels are the definition of be gay, do crime. Kyoshi is super fucking gay. The entire books are about her and her Fire Nation girlfriend being hot together and doing crime. Like she literally joins a crime gang and does crime while being gay. And that's the plot of the Kyoshi novels. That is not an exaggeration. That is not an interpretation. It is quite literal. She does crimes while being gay. There are multiple gay sex scenes, and there are multiple actual crimes, and a whole lot of murder. Yeah, they're really, really good. Kyoshi slays. She really does. Gay crime scenes? Yes. There's I don't remember all the specifics, but I'm pretty sure that they're at some point like a party, like an underground party for criminals, and they fuck there. I'm pretty sure. I think the first book has like 2 sex scenes. Where'd the dog go? What? I am so sorry, everybody. I was talking about Kyoshi sex novels, and the dog moved. I'm really, really sorry about that. Welcome to my stream. We're here to talk about the protests around the country and the ins and outs of the extracurricular content regarding the extended Avatar universe. Welcome to my stream. Now I gotta read these books, says Cloud. You should. They're genuinely good, and they're cheap too. So, and by cheap I mean short. Why did I say cheap? I meant short. Cheap. I think I said cheap because of time investment. Because like I associate pretty much any amount of time that I'm investing into something with opportunity cost, and so I think I said cheap because I meant short, like a cheap investment of time. I just remember that Korra is now the only avatar who remembers the previous avatars. That is true. I think the previous avatars are basically lost at this point. Also, the new Avatar show that they're making is supposed to be like the new Avatar is the bad guy. Not the bad guy, but like the world sees the Avatar as a threat rather than a savior now, which is that's a good twist. Informal Goblin says there's several parts where they only survived because of plot armor, and the PTSD is very book 2, and by book 4 they all have the 1,000-yard stare. Are we talking about Korra? We must be talking about Korra. Korra is genuinely good. People who hate on Korra shouldn't do that. There's some dumb plot lines, but it's generally good. Time is supposedly money. If that were true, I would have money. I've lived for time. When do I get my money? Oh, I was talking about Animorphs. My bad. Animorphs. The only thing that I genuinely know, I've read some Animorphs books when I was a kid. The only thing that I know about Animorphs still is the covers of the books. Nightmare fuel. The like middle stage transformation of the kid to the animal. Nightmare fuel. There's a new Avatar show? Yeah, there's a new let me pull that up. There is a new Avatar show happening. New Avatar series. Seven Havens. Avatar Seven Havens officially announced, set after the events of The Legend of Korra. It's official, a new Avatar cartoon is coming to Nickelodeon and Avatar Studios announces Avatar Seven Havens. Avatar The Last Airbenders creators will be the ones that are running it. It is a 26 episode 2D animated series following a young earthbender who is the next Avatar after Korra. In a press release, they said that it's set in a world that is, quote, shattered by devastating cataclysm. A young earthbender discovers that she's the Avatar after Korra, but in this dangerous era, that title marks her as humanity's destroyer, not savior. So, it's a thing. It's happening. Hello, Mello. How's it going? Is Nickelodeon going to treat this sequel series as like shit too? Yeah, hopefully they don't do that. Hopefully they let them just fucking do shit. Like, Nickelodeon has been so bad for Avatar, and Avatar has been so good for Nickelodeon, and it makes me very, very upset. Fans of Avatar, what are your thoughts on Dragon Prince? Dragon Prince is good. I couldn't get through the... I tried season 4 and couldn't get going with it. I should go back and try again. My problem with Dragon Prince, I like it a lot. I really, really liked it. Especially when I first watched through, I was like, fucking finally, they're like trying to recapture that energy. And it's written by Aaron Ehas, who is the head writer for like the vast majority of the original Avatar series, which is like why Dragon Prince feels very Avatar-y. My problem with Dragon Prince was they went a little too far in both directions. I think that Aaron Ehas wanted to do a fantasy epic that was as like heavy and thematically meaningful as Avatar, but then also tried to make it even more kid friendly, like young kid friendly. And I think it suffers trying to do both. That said, like, it does a lot of things right, and it does a lot of really good shit. The representation is pretty good. I do know that apparently in the writer's room there were like people who were trying to tell Aaron, who's a white dude, to like change some of his plans, and he was like, nah, fuck that, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. So like that doesn't feel great. But the fact that there's at all like a badass deaf character, like that's pretty sick. And the actual plot lines are like genuinely pretty good. It's just there's moment to moment, like I don't understand what vibe you're going for until they kind of land it in like the second or third season. Informal Goblin says, I heard people complain about the rapid industrial revolution. And I'm like, bro, people can make their own lighting and bend metal with their mind. That will absolutely be a catalyst for technological advancement. And at some point, technology will be the common man, will bring the common man up to the level of benders. Yeah, like, I don't know. I thought they really needed to do a different setting. And I think that they did a pretty good job for Korra. Is Dragon Prince still only on Netflix? I think so. But yeah, it's just like it's in the uncanny valley of a very good show. It's a good show, And if you really love Dragon Prince, great. I'm really, really happy for you. For me, I find it to be a good show that is the uncanny valley of a great show. Like it is so close, but it doesn't quite reach great. I would contrast it with She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, which is a very similar vibe and very similar juggling of family friendly while also handling extremely heavy topics. And I think She-Ra and the Princesses of Power pretty much nails it the entire way through and doesn't overstay its welcome or anything. Not that the Dragon Prince does, but it's just like an excellent show from start to finish and is a complete show. It's like done. So if you want an excellent show to go watch that's approachable and inclusive and intersectional and handles difficult themes with grace and emotional intelligence while still telling a good story and still having some excellent character writing, She-Ra and the Princesses of Power is fucking great. Kai says, I think what swayed me fully is the fact that it's based around dragons. Maybe if it didn't have dragons, I'd like it less, but probably not. Fair. Very fair. Dragons are pretty awesome. Dragons are pretty good. We like dragons here. Keep trying to bully my girlfriend into watching it with me. Tell your girlfriend that I said it, and that's your argument, is that I said that they should watch it with you. She-Ra, my beloved, says Mello. Yeah, like She-Ra's fucking great. It has such good character writing. It has such good... It does the big bad, bigger bad, biggest bad so well. And I fucking love it. It also introduces like one of the best characters. You know how shows will introduce a character late in the show and try to like make you care about them? She-Ra does that with like at least one, if not two characters in like the second half of the last season. And they like instantly become like, if anything bad happens to this character, I'm going to burn someone down. Some headquarters is burning down if anything bad happens to this character. The character I'm referring to, for those who have seen She-Ra, is Rong Hordak, if you know who I'm talking about. Which is essentially the main characters break the brain of a clone of the big bad evil guy, and he like just becomes a goober and like learns about himself and has self-actualization and just becomes a goober, and it's wonderful. So you have like a clone of the big bad, but he's like learning that winking is fun. He's just like it's so good. Like while the big bad is doing big bad things. I watched She-Ra as a kid. Is this new one similar at all? Says Ollie. Not really. They took, well, kind of. They took the concept of She-Ra, they down-aged the character. Well, the characters are also all different ages. Like they range from like 12 to 40 or 30 something. They desexualize the characters, which is welcome, because they're of all ages. And it's a lot more focused on character development and emotional growth than self-contained stories and combat. Like the overarching strife and combat and war is what's driving the whole narrative, but the moment-to-moment episodes are much more about like overcoming personal hurdles and growth and all that shit. Hello, One Bad Panda. How's it going? Entrapta, I love her. Just thinking about all the characters and how cool they are. Yeah, like Entrapta is like is autistic representation, also voiced by an autistic voice actor. They also have non-binary representation, also voiced by a non-binary voice actor, who's also one of the best characters in the fucking show. It's so good. Like they were like, hey, let's have a non-binary shapeshifter. Like that fucking rule. Always do that shit. Do that. It's so good. Slightly tangent. Thoughts on the live action He-Man / Masters of the Universe? I haven't really seen much of it. I've watched He-Man. I haven't really seen what they're doing with like live action shit. So I don't think I can give a strong opinion. What I can tell you is that Skeletor And He-Man, perfect. No notes. Like 0 notes. Never before and never again will a hero and villain be so perfect. He-Man is literally just a fucking himbo who just gets more himbo-y. And Skeletor is a evil skeleton guy who's like, like, you've made a perfect scenario. You've made a perfect contrasting hero and villain. No one will top that. It's over. The man's name is He-Man. Oh yeah, what's your hero's name? He-Man. Like, people can bitch and moan about you know, gender roles and stuff. But at the end of the day, if you're gonna tell me that there's a hero named He-Man and he's big, muscly, has a sword, yeah. Okay, sure, yeah, I agree. I'm on board, 100%. Like, masculinity, gender roles, toxic masculinity, whatever. Big muscle man with sword, call He-Man, goes like this, fights skeleton. I'm watching every episode, every single episode. Let's ride the roller coaster. Please keep your hands, feet, ears, eyes, dogs, he-men, and she-women inside the vehicle at all times as we ride the roller coaster. You know what live action caught me completely off guard? Dora the Explorer. They're making a live action Dora the Explorer? And it's not like a porn? Wait a minute. Dora the Explorer live action. Like this is not a good idea. They made it? It already exists? This is a bad idea. This is a bad idea. They did this already? This is a bad This is a bad idea. Ah. There were no problems. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. That was 2019. It was great. It's not a matter of it being great. It's a matter of there already exists far too much content on the internet for children's shows that are not geared towards children. And I feel like this just fanned those flames 800,000 times over. We need animation not to be seen as a kid's thing. I need more animated adaptations. There's I feel like there's a lot more animated adult TV shows now than pretty much ever before, right? I mean, that's probably true for basically all kinds of media because there's just more of everything. But I can't imagine that there's not a pretty wide... I don't know. I definitely understand people seeing animation. Like, obviously, animation has for a long time been associated with cartoons, which are associated with children, obviously. But, you know, anime aside, ignoring the entirety of anime, I do think that there's a lot more, like, Western animated TV shows that are adult-oriented now. For example, Has Been Hotel, right? Like, that's a good example. Speaking of animated adaptations, have you seen the new Predator? I have not. I haven't seen a lot of things. I'm going to be honest about that. I haven't seen a lot of recent shit, just in general. Hey, I saw... Time for a drink. Oh, thank you. Like, I've just, like, not been keeping up with pop culture for the past, like, 4 months, just because I've been so heads down working on shit. But I did... Oh, okay. That reminds me. Hi, Lilith. That reminds me. I saw... I don't mean to spread, like, anger and hate. Arcane's another great example. Anger... Let me start over here. I don't mean to spread anger and fear and hatred and confusion. And I don't mean to be a reactionary. But I am, I think, done sharing the planet with other people. Because today, I saw a post from a person, human breathing, a breathing human being, who said that they didn't like the movie Sinners because they didn't understand why the vampires all burned up when the sun came out. So if you need me, no you don't. I'm going to be moving to a cave under a mountain. I hear Cheyenne is nice this time of year. And I just wanted to let everybody know that I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed. It would have been easier for me to accept that someone was just racist and didn't like the movie because it was a primarily black movie. But someone saying this movie's bad because the vampires burned up in the sun. At that, just be racist, please. I've never seen the movie, but what? Sinners is great. Sinners is really, really good. It's bloody, but it's not. It's not horrendously so. It's not like a Saw movie or anything like that. It's bloody, but it's very, very fucking good. And if you're sick of just like movies being very samey and sort of like formulaic recently, definitely go check out Sinners. It is a very nice departure from the standard beat. It's really good. I can excuse racism, but vampires that don't sparkle is where I draw the line. Exactly. I can excuse racism, but I draw the line at not understanding the limitations of mythical creatures. Is there only exposure to vampires Twilight? Hopefully not. But yeah, Sinners is a vampire movie. It doesn't look like it, and it's not a vampire movie for the first like 50% of the film, and then it's a vampire movie. But it's also I feel like Sinners can be categorized as a vampire movie, but it's really just a Michael B. Jordan movie. It's a movie about Michael B. Jordan playing twins who are both Michael B. Jordan doing Michael B. Jordan things. There's vampires there too. So. Y'all, can I tell you about the worst thing in Sinners? As long as it's not a spoiler. That Michael B. Jordaning. Lilith says, Sinners being a vampire movie has increased my desire to watch it by 500%. I heckin' love vampires. Well, then you're gonna... Oop. We got Brown. What can Brown do for you? Yeah, definitely go watch it. Like as soon as you can. It is the best movie I've seen in a long time. I think a lot of people are treating it like a life-changing experience. I don't want to sell it like that. You're not going to come out of the movie being like, there was a time before and a time after Sinners. But as far as just like, that was great. Like, it has just been so fucking long since I've watched a movie and walked out being like, that was a wonderful experience. Like, that was genuinely just great. And like, feeling good about it, and then going and talking to people about it, and just being like, it was a great movie. It did cool shit. Yeah, like it didn't need to do something groundbreaking, and it doesn't. I don't think it does anything groundbreaking. I think it just does itself very, very fucking well, and doesn't try to. I think it's unapologetic about being the movie that it is. It's not there to make you feel comfortable about it being the movie that it is. It's there to be the movie that it is. And that feels nice. That feels good. Like, especially having recently watched a bunch of fucking Marvel movies where they restate the plot for you right before the ending of the movie just to make sure that you're aware of what's going on. Like, contrasting that level of hand-holding and tell, don't show, Sinners is just an excellent, like, I'm gonna sit down and let this movie take me through it, and it's very, very good. Can't sleep anything. Hooray! It's Jamie and Estrida. Thank you all for the follows. I'm sorry if I missed you. I think Estrida, I did get you, but thank you all so much for the follows. I'm sorry I didn't call that out earlier. They say taupe is soothing. Oh, is that taupe? Is that what taupe is? Nice amber color. Is taupe amber? The sound design and music was amazing in Sinners, though. In theaters, amazing. Amazing. The long shot was clean. Yeah, like there's just a lot of really good shit in it. You know what other movie? I mentioned this before, but another movie that I think did a really great job of like, wow, that was just great. And like didn't try to make you feel better about watching it was Birdman. I recently watched Birdman like a month or so ago. I talked about it on stream before, but I'm saying it again. Go watch Birdman. It is a like esoteric, somewhat absurdist movie about a former superhero movie actor who wants to now prove that he hasn't lost his stuff and is later in life trying to write and star in a stage play. And it's just about like all of the shit that he deals with while also his life is kind of falling apart and he's washed up. But also he's like losing it. And whenever his character is alone, he essentially fantasizes that he has the powers of his original superhero character. And that character is talking to him and like trying to convince him to be bad. So yeah, it's really cool. It's really fucking good. And it's just weird. It's really weird, but in a good way. But specifically, the reason I thought about it was because the long form shot, that movie, Birdman, is essentially shot in a way to make it feel like one continuous shot. Like every scene looks like a 20-minute long continuous shot. And you can tell where some of the cuts are, but they really put in effort. It was like, I was like half an hour into watching the movie and I realized like I have been spending this whole time waiting for this scene to end and it hasn't. It's just still going. And that's the entire movie. It's really cool. Honeybee 103 says, are we talking about Sinners? That shit was hella. Yeah, no, it was really fucking good. Really good. Languel says, Sinners was amazing. My mom didn't even ask me questions during it. Gotta watch this too now. Oh, and Birdman, I guess. Yeah, go watch Birdman. Go watch Sinners. They're both, if you like weird and unapologetic storytelling, both are slam dunks. If you like the kind of movie where it's like, why is that happening? Whatever, I'll accept it. It's that. Also, if you like Edward Norton, which I very much like Edward Norton, go watch Birdman, because Edward Norton is Michael Keaton and Edward Norton are like the two leading characters, and they like contrast each other, where Michael Keaton is trying to put on this play, and Edward Norton is like a really famous and self-absorbed stage actor who is uncontrollable and insane. It's really good. I'm distracted by wire harnessing my dev board. Oh, not me. Like I'm like not dev board, not like me board. Got it. Movies like that are amazing. They have to get spinning stages and stuff. What with the like no cut movies? Like it's more like they got a set that let them do a lot of loops. Like they go like up a staircase, through a hallway, down a staircase, through a hallway, up a staircase, and like while the camera is doing that loop, all the actors are like getting into their new positions and stuff. And otherwise, it's just like really clever editing. Edward Norton has done some great work. Edward Norton doesn't really miss. I'm not aware of an Edward Norton film in which he's bad. Learned about it in art class. Nice. Let's see. I wanted to call some attention before I get too lost. I mean, now that we're 51 minutes into the stream and I've been talking about Avatar, followed by Sinners, followed by Birdman, I want to draw some attention to the protests this weekend. Oh, where are you going, bud? Dog has
Sounds like rebellion propaganda.
Dog has
to me.
left, so we're gonna turn that off. We'll get the dog back on camera after I call some attention to a thing that you should be aware of. Pulling up a website. Don't mind me. Okay. So this Saturday is the No Kings protests. So if you're not aware, which you probably are if you live in the States, if you don't live in the States, then you might still be aware, but Trump is trying to have himself a birthday military parade. So Donald Trump's birthday is June 14th. June 14th happens to be Flag Day, which is sort of a nothing holiday. Like, it's one of those holidays that's on calendars, but no one thinks about or cares about. It doesn't mean anything. Like, it's just a day that's commemorated. But he's using that as an excuse to be like, oh, I'm having a military parade for Flag Day. It's totally not for my birthday. So he has been shipping tanks to DC and is doing a like whole ass North Korea style, Mao style military parade in honor of his birthday. And so to contest that, there are protests scheduled for literally all around the country. This is the map of protests that are planned for that same day. Now, notably, they are not protesting in DC. They're not protesting in DC. So if you live near DC, the people organizing these protests are intentionally asking people to not go to Washington, D.C. They are instead holding the flagship protest, I believe, in Philadelphia. So the idea being that, like, the parade is going to be a mess. DC is going to be a disaster. They're closing down so many streets. And also, like, it's just not worth the danger. Whereas if instead there was a huge day in Philadelphia contrasting the DC parade, that would look quite good. So, yeah. Head to nokings.org if you want to find one near you. They are everywhere. And it is very likely that there is a march near you if you would like to go. This is going to be, like, there are, there are people saying, and by people saying, Trump himself has said that he's going to, like, use force against protesters on this day or whatever. That's going to happen regardless. Don't let that scare you. Don't let him bullshit you. The vast majority of protests, especially these, are going to be an extremely chill march down a couple of blocks. And that's it. It's not, these aren't planned riots. These aren't planned, like, we're going to go firebomb a police station. It's literally like maybe a dozen people in your area are going to get together and do a march. But that matters. That matters. It really, really, really does. Because for each body that shows up is a physical representation that people are not alone and not isolated in their pushback against this. So even if you just go, if you live in like, you know, nowhere near a major city, but you see that there's one that's like, you know, you can get there. And it's, you know, your local municipality. Go see who shows up. March with them. Get their numbers, exchange contact information, build that community. This is an opportunity to meet people who are like-minded and to use your presence to make a statement. And whether or not you're at one of the super big protests or one that has 6 people, it's meaningful because, one, you will know what you're doing. You will feel like you're doing something. And that's important because right now a lot of people feel helpless. And 2, again, you will see other people, and you will see that there are other people who want to push back on this, who are not okay with this, and who would support you in pushing back on this. So check it out, see if there's one near you, stay safe. Remember that if you're going to a big one, if you're going to one of the big protests especially, no cell phone. Leave it home. No identifying information on yourself. Wear a mask. Wear comfortable clothing. Write emergency contact information on your arm. write any allergies, medical allergies on your person as well, just in case. This is just precaution. It is not a guarantee. In fact, it is incredibly unlikely that you will encounter police brutality. Obviously, police brutality happens, and obviously it's really, really dangerous. But reminder, like, percentage-wise, like, there are more car crashes. You are more likely to die in a car crash driving to a protest than you are being hurt at a protest. They are, by and large, extremely safe. Like, they get dangerous when there is a stampede or police escalation. But for the most part, everyone is there to take care of each other. They're not there to cause chaos. They're there to show solidarity. So if you are in need of help, almost definitely someone's going to be nearby with some water, with some kind of aid to help you. So plan for safety, but expect support. Yeah. Let's get the dog back in frame. He's a little far out there, but, you know. Yeah, no. Let's see. Astrida says, watching this from outside the US is going to be interesting. Been a wild ride already. Here's another thing, though. I want to share a map that's going around. Let me find it again real quick. Hold on, Threads of all things. Does Threads even have search? Yeah. Yeah. One moment. Okay. Got it. Save image. Sorry, I'm pulling an image up and it's taking a sec. Okay, got it. If you are not aware, or if you live outside the States, if you live outside California, if you live outside LA, which I do, if you want a sense of scale here. So here is the Los Angeles, right? It's like a normal Angeles, but we lost it. This map, there is a red dot on this map that is a scale representation of the entirety of the events going on in LA right now. Do you see the red dot? No? You don't see the red dot? Well, maybe we can try to find it. Okay? Let's see. Let's play find the red dot. Let's zoom in. All right. So this is for reference, this is a 30 by 30 square mile map. Okay? The issues going on, see how far I have to zoom in? At the very center of your screen, there is a splotch that is a red dot. That is what's happening. That's the scale that we're talking about. So when people are saying that LA is burning, it is like a block. And it's not even burning. It's not burning. There was a couple of cars set on fire. That's gonna happen when you have a bunch of people upset about things. That'll happen. It's not the equivalent of LA burning down. Like, grow a spine. Come on. Oh, this is people waving flags that I don't like, and they set a car on fire. The entire country is falling apart. Bro, this protest is not even the biggest protest LA has seen this year. It is one of the more tame protests that LA has seen so far just this year, this calendar year. and people are acting like it's some wide-scale destruction. This always happens. The right constantly wants to make it seem like these liberal cities are, these like Democrat-run cities are destitute, are burnt down to the ground, and it affects like people who mean well. It affects people who just like are going about their lives, and the only thing that they're learning is tidbits of information that they hear maybe while they're in the waiting room at their dentist. Right? And so like they just overhear a thing. They overhear the protests are escalating in LA. And that's all they have to go off of, and they just start to let that sit, and it just solidifies. And so then you have people who like are smart. They're not, they've, you know, I've had people that I know in my life who love me, who have traveled, who have been to some of these cities. And when I said I was going to Seattle a few years ago, like relatively shortly after some of the protests, I had people asking me if I had like safety plans and if I could like check in with them frequently so that I wouldn't be in danger or whatever. And it's like, do you have any idea how big Seattle is and how little the protests were? It's nothing. You could meander every day for a week going down every street you could find in Seattle and not run into the protests. And it's still just not that big of a deal. The scale of someone lighting a candle in the center of your dining table. Well, how big is your dining table? So the console says but the Facebook AI slop showed the state on fire. Yeah, I'm really amazed at I'm not amazed by people falling for AI slop. I'm amazed by people willfully enjoying AI slop, because they'll do that thing where it's like they see an image that resonates with them and they're like, this is real, and then they learn it's AI and they're like, well, it could have been real. It's essentially real, and it's like, no, that's not how that works, actually. Speaking of which, y'all see that Universal is doing the thing. Universal sues Midjourney. Yeah, Universal is suing Midjourney. Disney and Universal. Hey, it's time for a drink. Oh, bad website. Here's a drink. That is not the website that I wanted to use. Here we go. Disney and Universal sue image creator Midjourney for copyright infringement. Midjourney is one of the most popular AI image generators, for those who are not aware. Walt Disney and Comcast Universal have filed a copyright lawsuit against Midjourney on Wednesday, calling its popular AI-powered image generator a, quote, bottomless pit of plagiarism for its use of the studio's best-known characters. The suit filed in the federal district court in Los Angeles claims Midjourney pirated the libraries of the two Hollywood studios, making and distributing without permission innumerable copies of characters such as Darth Vader, Elsa, and the Minions. Can't be having those AI minions, y'all. Too dangerous. Even Flynn agrees. Look at him. Firedrop says, similar story for me with Portland, Oregon. I have family from elsewhere in Oregon who were terrified about my vacation to Portland a couple years ago. No issues, no city in ruins, lots of amazing restaurants and good eating for me. People truly thought that like Portland was gone. People genuinely thought that entire US cities had been leveled. It's madness. Well, that's what's going to happen, because like all of the news outlets report it the same. They all report it by using passive voice. They say that the protests are escalating. Like protesters and police clash as protests escalate. Not protests were peaceful until the cops showed up. That's not what they're saying. They're saying protests escalate, and the picture's always a burning car. Doesn't matter what car or when or what city or any of the context. It's just a burning car. Kev says, same. I moved to Portland a couple years back. People really think downtown is still the worst, most dangerous place in the country. It's bizarre. And it's literally just like scared suburbanites and like rural people. And don't get me wrong. I used to not be a big fan of cities. And largely that is due to like my neurodivergence. Like I don't like a lot of noise. I don't like a lot of movement. And like that's what cities are. Right? I mean, they're noisy because of cars, but still, like there's a lot going on. And so I used to be really overwhelmed by cities. Less so now, largely just because like I've broken past some of my own mental blocks with it. But also I see the utility and the community and the culture and the upsides of being and living in a city. And I get it. Not everyone wants to live in a city, and that's fine. And I don't want to ever tell someone you have to live in a certain type of place. That's not what I'm getting at. But to live in a rural or suburban area and then assert that you know what cities are like because sometimes you go there and you feel uncomfortable, or otherwise the news tells you that the cities are burning. If you're not there, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. I'm not going to tell you what your suburb is doing. I'm not going to tell you what your rural county is doing. I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna wish that you opened your eyes a little bit and paid attention to a broader picture outside of your locality. But I don't know your locality. I don't know what it needs. I'm not gonna tell you how to fix it. So shut the fuck up about cities. Like if you have no skin in the game, it's not like you're like, oh dang, I would live in the city if not for the entirety of what makes up a city. Like. Poking someone until they hit you so you can justify beating up kind of BS. Yeah, it's they show up, they agitate, they use it as an excuse to do the thing that cops want to do, which is shoot civilians. You don't become a cop if you don't want to fuck up civilians. Like you just don't. That is in the job description. I don't care what the rest of the job says. If there's a part of the job description that says also you're going to beat the shit out of civilians when we ask you to, that's a shitty job. Hey, don't do that. Hey, maybe don't do that. When firefighters become firefighters, they fight fires. They're not told if you encounter a civilian while trying to fight a fire, pepper spray them, punch them in the face, kneel on their neck, and handcuff them while yelling at them to stop resisting. That's not what firefighters go through. EMTs aren't told to beat people into submission before treating them. Neurospicy Dumpster Fire says a local sex shop was having financial issues. A news outlet made a post, and people were so damn mean, and it was people that are terrified of the city in general, but they will still come here for losing sports teams. That sex shop got so much attention that they are not struggling at the moment. The commune showed up. That's great. That's great. Yeah, like I don't want to see the opinions of people who have no skin in the game about the game. Mind your fucking business. Whatever happened to that? What happened to minding your fucking business? Where did that go? When did we lose that? That's not how they arrest the fire? It's true. Firefighters go in and they handcuff the fires. I hate that our society always groups police in with firefighters and paramedics. Not the same at all. Yeah, we call them like, emergency first responders. Look, I don't see or even really want a society in which there are not people whose job it is to help keep the peace. I don't think that guns are how you keep the peace civilian to civilian. Like that should not be the first response. We should not have the default peacekeepers equipped with weapons that kill people. This doesn't seem like a big ask. Most countries don't. And the only reason that we do largely is just because there's so many fucking guns in this country. So like the notion of having police not carry weapons is absurd in the States. Ink Fairy 1134 and Chat Fright, thank you so much for the follows. If police used firefighter methods, we'd all be happier, and it'd be funny to see people getting comically sprayed with high pressure hoses. I mean, they do that though, but they do that, but it's not comical though. Like water cannons are really fucking dangerous, and they've used that historically, like famously. Sorry, Kai, I'm not trying to make fun of you or anything, but high pressure hoses used by police is very much a thing. They have mounted cannons on armored vehicles that shoot high pressured water at protesters to essentially blow them away. Used quite a bit in like MLK Day. My college best friend got engaged to a cop. She's not my friend anymore. My childhood best friend became a cop. And the last conversation I had with him, we met up for lunch. We both went to different universities, and we like met up for lunch one day. And he was complaining to me about how this girl that he had a crush on was dating a black guy. And he's white, she's white, and she's dating a black guy. And he was like, that's just not natural. I haven't talked to him since. He became a cop also. So shocker. Also, he couldn't join the military, which is why he became a cop. So it's, I mean, tropes be troping. Guess I need some research, and no, I'm not European. Yeah, like there's a lot of videos of black and white videos of cops using water cannons, and it's not, they're not gone. They still use them. There's a really fucked up thing that I think has been deployed in riots before, but is used in some prisons. Let me find out what it's actually called. Yes. Yep. Dark. Wide. A directed energy weapon. A directed energy weapon is a ranged weapon that damages its target with highly focused energy without a solid projectile, including lasers, microwaves, particle beams, and sound beams. Potential applications of this technology include weapons that target personnel, missiles, vehicles, and optical devices. So this is a fucking sonic cannon mounted on top of a car. And this thing can emit, like, they're not all one device, but there are ones that emit bursts of sound that essentially just like deafen and force you away. There are also ones that specifically emit microwaves that radiate downwards and make it feel like your skin is burning. Like the microwaves go through you, and it doesn't necessarily, in theory, if you get exposed to it for a little bit, it usually doesn't cause permanent damage, but it can cause permanent nerve damage, and it just makes you feel like your skin is boiling until you run away. And so it's used for like riot control to like prevent people from going into certain areas. It's super fucked. Like it's super fucked. Just a thing that happens. Becoming a cop as a backup for not getting into the military is scary, not gonna lie. Yeah, like if you are a person who's like, I want to get into the military, also lol, dog cam. If you're a person who's like, I want to get into the military, well, I guess the second best is being a cop. Okay, what's the commonality here, and why is that the second best? What's the thing that you're trying to do? Are you trying to shoot the guns at people? Are you trying to legally shoot the guns at people? Because if that's what you're trying to do with your life, maybe don't become a cop, because those people are your neighbors, whether or not you accept them. And so if you're going to become a cop, and if you're going to be okay with shooting even, quote, less lethal ammunition at your own countrymen, at the people who pay your salary by way of taxes, at the teachers, the caretakers, the bakers, the truckers in your community, don't be surprised when people aren't on your side. Like, don't be surprised when people consider you a class traitor. Weird. Wild. Is Flynn an energy weapon operator? Oh, God, no. He is pure physical contact. He's all about that chomp. Weaponized chomp, let me tell you. Taliesin says, these things feel like they should be outlawed under a certain convention. Yeah. Agreed. Nora Spicy says, in 2020, some folks had neurological damage and a few women had miscarriages from the tear gas and other methods that they used. It's not okay. Yeah, none of it's okay. Tear gas is not okay. It's not a thing we should be using. We shouldn't be using rubber bullets. But unfortunately, there is an entire political ideology that genuinely just associates military strength and authoritarian control with righteousness. Like, rolling over and showing your belly to the state is what they think is moral and good. And I've talked about this before. It's the same people who have spent their entire life growing up in a church that taught them to never question authority. And hold on, I'm changing playlists. Jangly. They've lived their whole life being told to never question authority, and now they're seeing that there are people who are pushing back against authority, and they're like, well, that's wrong. That is wrong, and those people deserve the punishment. So I'm going to give as much leeway as possible to the authority and overlook brutality because it's justified, because these people shouldn't be pushing back against authority, because that's not okay. And it's not because they can go further than that. It's not like they shouldn't question authority because reasons. It's they shouldn't question authority because an authority figure told me so. And that they just genuinely have not considered questioning authority. It's not an acceptable option. Because to question authority would require acknowledging that their life has been shaped by people who told them to never question authority, and then they're going to have to question those authorities, all the way up to and including their deity, who is supposed to be the ultimate authority that you never question, which is where all of it comes from. So if you get people on the path of question authority, they are resistant if they are of the mindset that questioning authority is morally dangerous. And that's how we get here. Might makes right and never question power are the two worst mindsets that have invaded the, quote, alpha male, hyper-theist, nationalist culture in America, says Sleepless Serafina. Yes, that and peace through strength. I keep seeing right-wingers say peace through strength. The first part of who's the person? Why am I blanking on this? Peace through strength. Is a phrase that suggests military power can help preserve peace. But like there is more to it than that. Like there are what's the rest of the was it peace through strength, strength through unity, peace through strength, strength through unity. Whatever. Point being, no. Peace through strength, strength through unity, unity through faith. Will that stop happening, please? Point being, weird alpha male guys who think that they... Imagine spending any amount of time, like, trying to prove your masculinity and thinking that that's how you prove masculinity. Like, the second that you try to prove your masculinity, you are emasculating yourself. The second that you spend a moment trying to assert that you are masculine, you've lost. That is inherently not masculine because it's not confident, because it's not self-actualized. It's not coming from a role of respect. It's not coming from a place of protection, leadership, and collaboration with your community to uplift people and all of it. You're just saying, I'm a man. I'm a big masculine man because of these reasons. Like, if you have to tell people why you're masculine, if you have to explain why you're masculine, you've lost. You are not. You're just a dweeb. You're a fucking loser. Respect comes from, like, having an actual personality and, like, moral framework that you can adhere to. And when people see who you are and acknowledge who you are, that's when they start to respect you. And that's when they start to accept you as a man. It's not hard. Just stop trying to prove it. Just go live your life and be a person and include people and accept people and uplift people and build a network. Be the person that's going to have a bunch of people showing up at your funeral. Think about that. Think about how many people are going to want to be at your funeral. How many people are going to want to share how much you've impacted their life? And not people who are going to be like, oh, that guy fucking died? Sweet. I think a lot, and this isn't a masculinity situation, but the reason I bring up excuse me, brain. The reason I bring up the funeral thing. There was a woman when I was growing up who was a very involved member of, like, the community that I was generally in, including, like, the Boy Scouts that I was in, and just, like, a lot of the social circles, just broader social circles. And she was just, like, very involved, very uplifting, and this, like, powerful mother figure. She was just always there. It didn't matter who you were her kid. She was there for you. She was taking care of you. She made sure that you were all right. She made sure that you had everything you needed and that you felt supported. Didn't matter who you were. Because the world is fucking cruel, she died of cancer quite young. I want to say 40s or 50s. Her funeral was packed to the fucking rafters. It was standing room only. That's how many people this woman had touched. That's how many lives that she had altered so much that they went to a standing room only funeral to show their respect for this woman. I've never seen so many people in one place for something like that. And it was beautiful. It fucking changed me. It made me realize how I want, like, who I want to be and how I want to live my life. Because I looked around, I knew how much that she had done for me as just a kid that she knew. And I looked around at everybody else in the room and I knew that she had done as much, if not more, for them as well. And it was humbling. So let that guide you. Like, think about that when you're making decisions about how you want to interact with people and what kind of energy you want to put out into the world. Because I think it would be a little bit better if everybody was optimizing for improving others' lives. That's all I'm going to say about that. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to go pee in a toilet. And when I get back, we're going to do a little bit of live coding for the proscenium stuff. Sound good? We'll go over the character sheets that I've set up for the first playtest. We'll do some live coding, build those character sheets into a website. And that'll be that. Hey, it's time for I can hydrate. Gotta hydrate before I pee in a toilet. Gotta collect those funeral goers. Yeah, I mean, like, you gotta have. They're like Pokemon cards, you know. Okay. I will be right back. I'm gonna go pee in a toilet and yeah. BRB. I'm back. I went I went to say I'm back and I swallowed wrong. Goddamn. Okay. Okay. Hello everybody. How's it going? Y'all being people? Yeah? Being people? Let's do, okay, hold on. Let me, what am I doing? Okay. I'm gonna update my stream info real quick. Building, live code. Building a demo character sheet for Proscenium. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. How's everybody doing? We're doing good? Feeling good? We're gonna start by reviewing the character sheets and like what exactly we need to build, and then we're gonna build a thing together live on stream to rule the world. Sound good? Does that, I hope so. World domination. That's what we're here for. So, all right. So, a quick overview again for those who are joining in and don't really know what I'm doing or what this is. So, I am building a tabletop role-playing game called Proscenium, and Proscenium is it is both a game system as well as a default setting. It's coming with a default setting, but also an app to play the game, which is also the app to create custom content for the game. So it's sort of like a game plus framework plus app to just help people play TTRPGs together. And that's Proscenium. So what we're going to do here today is take a look at some of the character sheets that are for the first ever playtest, which is going to be a one-shot session run by me with a bunch of collaborators and all that good shit. So we're going to take a quick look at the character sheets for this one shot, and then we're going to build a interactive character sheet that will be what we use for the actual gameplay for the one shot. This is not the actual app that I'm building, but is instead a like placeholder character sheet, more or less. Hello, Grace. What's up? Brackus Rex says creative peeps and nerds are going to love it. Absolutely. That's the hope. So this first character these characters are named as like their role, because the idea is for this first playtest, I'm creating pre-made characters that the players can then bring their own vibe to, but the character sheet is pre-made. So this one is the Muscle. They are equipped with a warhammer, which is a large mallet weighted perfectly for smashing melons, if you will. A rock sling, where some see a bit of cloth, you see a rocket launcher. And an elixir of strength. Drink this to deal 1 extra point of damage per attack until the end of the current scene. We can see that there is a slot for a name for the character, their species, which this one's already pre-filled, their XP total, which I'm ignoring for now. We've got our stats over here, which is health points, skill points, and exhaustion points, also known as EP, because when you run out of exhaustion points, you get all EP. We've got our talents here, which is essentially like if you, regarding a tabletop role-playing game, you're rolling dice, right? These are the things that tell us what dice to roll. Okay, so we have 6 different talents, so like 6 different types of dice rolls. And the prowess just says if you're rolling 1, 2, or 3 dice for a novice, adept, or master. So that's all that means. In the actual character sheet, I've been wanting to represent prowess as just like depictions of dice. So you'll literally just look at your character sheet and roll as many dice as it says. And that's it. Like that's all the mental computation you got to do. And then we've got abilities down here. So a smattering of different abilities. There are 3 types of abilities. They're called skills. There are 3 types of skills: cues, traits, and actions. Actions are just skills that you can use whenever you want, as long as you have the resources. Cues are like actions, but they can only happen after a condition has been met. So, for example, there is a Q here that says, before an ally makes an attack roll against a target that is in range of you. So that is the trigger. You can use this ability if that happens, but only if that happens. So Qs might be a reaction to being hit, a preparation for an ally doing something, a thing that can happen if there's a sudden change that no one expected. There's also, like, you know, when you enter a new area, stuff like that. So Qs are abilities that you can use in response to things. And then traits are just permanent buffs. So here's a trait called Hardened Exterior. Reduce each instance of incoming physical damage by 1. You'll also notice that these abilities have questions at the bottom. These are flavor prompts. So whenever you use an ability, you can answer one of the questions that's associated with the ability, and that is like canonical. So, for example, Loyal Armaments. It's a Q that lets you recall your weapon after you throw it. And the prompt is, what action or trigger word do you say to recall your weapon? So that's saying, hey, player, like, yes, you recall your weapon. Okay, like we know that. That's what the ability does. But what does that look like? What do you do? How does that, like, actually manifest? Or down here, Weakening Strike. It's an attack that you make against somebody to reduce their next damage. And this says, how does your strike hit the target to weaken them? So, you answer, like, yeah, you're hitting them and you're weakening them. But how did you do that? Like, what did you hit them with? Where? In what way to weaken them? Maybe you targeted their like sword holding hand and like injured that, so their next strike is not going to hit very hard. And these are optional. They're recommended, but they're optional, and they are largely just there to help streamline providing more flavor at the table. Because I think a lot of people have trouble with, like, the ability happens and the mechanics happen, but there's no real narrative for it. And I want to make sure that everybody has the option and opportunity to lean into the narrative with regards to how they're doing things. So our first character is the Muscle. They are the big hit things very hard kind of character. They've got combat abilities, distract somebody, weaken somebody, reduce damage, big AoE slam, grapple, stuff like that. The second character is the Planner. This is the strategist for the team, basically. They're the like cunning there's a really good word for it. Tactician. They're the cunning tactician of the group. So they've got a thing called a speed bow, which is just a short bow, but it uses your cunning ability as your attack roll. So the idea is, instead of, normally you would use focus for a ranged attack, which is like, a bow, a javelin, a crossbow, that all uses focus. But a speed bow uses your cunning. And so this character is a cunning based character. So they have a weapon that works well with them. They've also got a dagger and a buckler for like melee combat if they need it. And then their abilities are much more support and utility. So, for example, Lunar Brand. Brand an allied target with the mark of the vestigial moon, granting them temporary illusory ability. Until the target takes an action that interacts with another target or the world, they are difficult to notice, raising their defense challenge to master and granting them adept in cunning until the effect ends. So you can basically touch somebody and make them like shimmeringly invisible, difficult to target, and good at like quick actions until they do something else. This one's fun. Retort. It's a Q. When you are targeted with a ranged weapon attack from an aggressor that you can see, you may psychically reverse the attack back to the aggressor using Spark for your attack roll. The projectile misses you regardless of your roll outcome. And the prompt is, how close do you let the projectile get to hitting you? So like someone shoots a bow at you, you can be like, nope, return to sender. And it's like, how far along do you want the projectile to go before you turn it back around? Is it they shoot the bow and it just goes right out of their bow, turns around and hits them? Or does it get real close to hitting you in the face and then you go, no, 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 and it turns around and goes back? Raka says, the questions are a nice touch. Even when choosing the pre-made templates, players can make the character feel customized to what they find cool. Yes, and that's an overarching theme in a lot of the game design. For example, the weapons or the gear. There's only 2 rarities now. I've reduced the rarities down to 2. There was originally your classic common, uncommon, rare, legendary. Now it's just common or legendary. And the reason that I'm doing that is to reduce the minutia around collecting specific gear and increase instead the customization options. So common items are things that you could like purchase. If it's just like a thing, if it's a thing that can be like fabricated, it's common, you know? If it is a, you know, ancient weapon of unknowable power, that's legendary. Or even if it's just a unique thing that only one exists in the world, that's legendary. But if it's a thing that you can go to Swords R Us and buy, that's common. But the idea is the game is going to provide common stat sheets for items. So like you'll have your sword, your great sword, your warhammer, all those kinds of things, right? And then your like upgraded sword, your upgraded great hammer. Those are all things and they're all still common. And then you have the option, if you would like, to write or customize the flavor for your weapon. So you might say, I have a common short sword and the stats for it are just common short sword, but you can customize that however you want. So like, you know, maybe it's a common short sword, but you've, you know, it's got your family name etched into the side. Like it's not got superpowers, but it does have specific meaning to you. And it is different from a default sword on the shelf at a shop. So you can still add that flavor and customization and character importance. But then separately, if you come across a legendary item that supplants your existing common stuff, you still have these big moments of getting something really powerful as a legendary. Ada Scott says, I want to make legendary items. Well, absolutely. And do you mean like as a game designer or as a character? Because both definitely doable. There is going to be a like item fabrication skill tree. So you'll be able to convert common items into a legendary and bestow specific powers onto them. The third character is the fixer. So this is the person who's sitting back until they are needed to resolve a conflict, so to speak. So this is your glass cannon character. And they have our first legendary item of the characters, which is the ethereal teapot. A teapot that can always pour, but can never be opened. Channeling its energy with a successful adept spark roll pours a cup of etherealizing tea. Whoever consumes the tea enters a semi-displaced physical state, granting them the ability to target the souls within others. For the next minute, their unarmed melee attacks deal 2 arcane damage and use spark for their attack roll. Normal tea from the pot is delicious, but otherwise mundane tea. So here's a character that can be sitting sort of quietly behind the rest of the party, just sipping on a cup of tea. And then the party's like, all right, we need you to fix this. And they're like, okay, fine. Pour themselves a cup, drink it, go into essentially a like Witcher style battle rage and fuck shit up. So they have like a weapon, but more importantly, they've got like spells and this item that lets them convert into a like soul collector. And then they've just got like big spell stuff. So they've got Solar Sweep, which is like a big AoE fire explosion. Overgrowth, which is sort of an AoE crowd control. Burn is a single target nuke. This one is one of my favorites and is going to be an entire skill tree around this kind of stuff. It's called Glasslight Steps. You stride on Glasslight, a solid yet near invisible surface which forms beneath your steps at will. You may choose to elevate yourself by walking up steps of glasslight up to 15 feet off the ground. If another being attempts to walk on your glasslight, it shatters. So this is going to be a whole skill tree, but this is just one ability for now. And the idea is like you just at will can just walk up as if there's a staircase, and you can do that. But if anyone steps on any of your glass light that's around, it all shatters. So you can use it to try to get away, but if somebody's right behind you, you're going to fall back down to the ground. But if you're trying to like get up to a secure location quietly, you can just do that. You don't need a ladder or the ability to jump or teleport or anything. The last character is the caretaker, and this is like I'm picturing essentially like an old woman that's just like, oh, you crazy kids, you're all so sweet. The premise for this character when I gave it to the players is that like you found a help wanted poster for someone who could start a fire, but more importantly, cook on that fire. Because the rest of the crew is useless. And so this is the person who kind of binds everyone together. They've got a crossbow for if they really need it. And they are otherwise a pretty defensive character. So they have this legendary item called an Iron Thread Cloak. Physical damage dealt to you from behind is reduced by 2. And otherwise, they just have like healing and support abilities, as well as like one really big nuke. And otherwise a defensive trait called Protective Bonds. Each allied player character within melee distance of you reduces incoming physical damage by 1. So if this person is like in the middle of a group of people that they're all allied with, they essentially cannot be hurt. So as long as they are with their allies, they are relatively safe. So they can do combat, but if they are caught in combat and they are caught not really able to do combat, they can support their allies while not really worrying too much about damage so long as they manage their positioning. So that's sort of the goal there. So let's make a website. Let's make a web app, shall we? We're gonna zoom in quite a lot here. Okay. And do a little bit of this, do a little bit of this. Do a little bit of that. Do a little bit of this. Do a little bit of that. Do a little bit of that. Then we're gonna do a little bit of this. We're gonna do a little. That didn't work. Localhost. Do a little bit of that. Nope. That. And then a little bit of this. Okay, so we just did a lot of a little bit, which I'm sorry about that. But now we're good. And now we're just gonna code. So we're gonna start by building a very, very simple, like no logic. We're not building a character sheet that like manages things for you. It's just gonna be input, output, and having the fields that are necessary for like playing the game. So it'll have your stats, your talents, and a readout of your items and abilities. That's all we're gonna build here real quick. And we're going to start by just brute forcing it and then make it good later on. There is a sort of a mantra in the programming community that's first make it work, then make it good, then make it fast. So first we're going to make it work and then we'll make it good. So we're going to start using a tool called Svelte. And I talked about this, I think on my last stream. Svelte is a web development framework that essentially tries to simplify a lot of the cruft around web development. If you've heard of React, Svelte is a competitor to React, if that makes any sense whatsoever. It is a system with which to build websites. And it's just going to look a lot like just HTML and CSS and JavaScript because that's all it really is. So we're going to start. We're going to use TypeScript because I can't help myself but just use TypeScript. We're going to start by making a script up top that's going to house our like data management. So the scripting, the coding is the data management. We're then going to have some HTML. So we'll start by just saying like my cool character sheet as a header, an H1. When I save, we now see we've got my cool character sheet over here. This is a live preview of the website that we're building. And I'll zoom that in a little bit. Actually, I'm not going to. Okay, so we've got my cool character sheet on the screen right now. Let's just like, without thinking, without like trying to make anything work right. Let's just dump stuff onto the page that we're going to need. So we're going to need your character info. We're going to need stats. We're going to need talents. We're going to need equipment and abilities. Okay. Boom. So now we've got all of those right there. Very good. Very good. Let's add some style. So now I'm going to be using CSS to style the page. Again, we're doing this all in one file. It's going to hopefully make it easier to follow, and then we'll break it all down once we've got like a thing. But for now, I don't like that the font is a serif font. So we're going to say our H1s and our H2s, we'll just go ahead and include 3, 4, 5. We're going to say font family sans serif. And that changes the font. Now it's a sans serif font. We're actually going to not use those for now because we're not using any of them. Excuse me. Oh. Cool. So now we've got a sans serif font for our headings. We now need a bunch of inputs, just like a whole lot of inputs, right? We need a bunch of fields that you can enter information into because we need to be able to like manage all of our stats, all of our numbers, all of our everything. So the first thing that I want to do is just add in the like very basic inputs, and then we'll rig them up to control actually managing the data, and then we'll, you know, make it good from there. So the first thing that we need is the info stuff. Let's do that, and then we're gonna say we're gonna make a subsection that's a.
Hey, what? Wait! Look who just subscribed.
Ethereal Theodon, or sorry, Elethrial Theodon. 3 months. What's up? Thank you for the sub. Okay, so we've got our info section, and we're gonna say that we're gonna make a like simple input. Okay. We want a label for accessibility. We're gonna say name, and the input type equals text, placeholder equals your character name. Boom. Okay. So now we can see we've got an input here. Now I can type, I've got, it says name, I've got input. We're going to actually go ahead and make all of the text on the screen be sans serif. I'm going to do that by deleting that. Actually, I'm going to go over to my global style sheet, and I'm going to say font family sans serif. But actually, I'm going to do system UI sans serif. Now, when I refresh this page, there we go. Now everything is a sans serif font, and we don't have to do it piece by piece. So we're going to now have this, we have this input. So I can say like, my cool character, my name is Cool Dude. Okay. Yeah, cool dude. Now, we're going to want that for your species as well as your XP total. So let's get a few more of those on the screen. We're going to say species, XP total. XP total is going to be a number input instead of a text input, because XP is a number. And I don't like that they're all just like one after another. So we're going to fill that. We're going to fix that up. So we're going to say simple inputs. Simple input to be display block, which says I want you to take up your own space on the screen. And oh, I'm an idiot. I'm a big dumb idiot. I didn't copy the right stuff. We're gonna do that and that. This will be species. This will be XP total. This will be number. Get rid of the placeholder there. All right. And now everything's on its own line, right? So there's that. We're also going to just add a little bit of margin on the bottom. Margin, bottom. We'll just say 10 pixels, whatever. Okay, so now there's a little bit of a gap between them. They are, you know, one on top of another. But you'll notice that, like, it doesn't look good, right? These are not aligned. These text boxes are just, like, after the thing. And it just feels a little haphazard, a little nasto. So what we're going to do is make the label do this. So we're going to say labels. Actually, I want to put a class on that. Label class equals text input. Text label. Whatever. This is all going to change anyway. Do that. Then we're going to say text labels. Display flex. Flex justify content center. That's not what I wanted at all, actually. So I want text label input flex 2. There we go. And I want to wrap these guys in spans so I can target them as well. Becomes species. This becomes XP total. We're going to say the text label span is flex 1. That's going to be a little wacky. We'll fix that up in a sec. Align items center should, yep. And we're going to say this, we'll make this like a 5. All right. So for now, good enough, right? Let's just make this like text align center, font weight bold. Cool. Now we've got a few inputs with bold labels. You can type in them. Great. Cool. You can, this is a number. You can make this go up and down. Cool. We have the technology. So now we want to do the same thing, but for stats and talents. Stats will be relatively similar because they're all just gonna be numbers. So we can actually just copy this guy and do boom, or actually div class equals stats. And then simple input. Sweet, but instead of XP total, we want HP. And then we're going to want SP and EP. Boink. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere, right? Now we've got our like name. So I can say my name is Jordan. My species is Jordanian. XP total 12. I've got 8 HP, 5 SP, and 2 EP. Like now we're doing something. We got a little bit of a character sheet going. Got a witch's brew. All right, the next thing that we need are talents, which are going to be a little bit different because talents are only one of 3 options. They are novice, adept, or master. So instead of having a freeform input, we're going to do a select, a drop-down menu. So you can choose which of the 3 is correct for each talent. So we're going to say div class equals talents. And we're going to do this one a little differently. We're going to do a grid and let that handle rendering all the options side by side. So we'll say, do we want to do a grid or do we want to do, I guess a table would work too. we're going to do a grid. So talent grid down here, we're going to say talent grid is display grid, grid template columns. For now, we'll just do 1FR, 1FR. That says I want a, I just hit my microphone. I hit my microphone. All this is saying is I want a grid that has 2 columns that are each 1 fraction of the available space. So 2 equal sized columns is the grid layout here. So we'll go back up to our talents grid right here. So now this is our 2 columned grid. And if I just start adding things here, if I just say like span muscle, actually instead of a span, we'll make that an H3. And then so because it's a grid, each of these items is going to be placed on the grid. So you can see that I've got sort of the, muscle, novice, muscle, novice, muscle, novice. We'll change these from muscle to focus, knowledge, charm, cunning, and spark. Charm, cunning, spark. Okay, so now we've got our like grid ode talents, right? It doesn't look good, but it's there. Okay, and this is just text that's reading out. You can't actually edit this or anything, so that's not great. We want to make that a drop down so that we can edit that. So what we're going to do to make that happen is select. We're going to use a select element. Option. Novice. Adept. Master. Value equals novice. Boom. So now that's a drop down. Easy. Look how easy that was. That was so easy. We dropped down. Let's go ahead and bring that on through to the rest of our talents as well. Delete that. There. No. That. There. 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 And there. So now we actually have our 6 talents and the drop down to choose which is what level. Great. Cool. You will notice that it's not saving any of this data. That is because as I'm like working on this and adding more stuff, it's updating over here and it's losing data because I haven't done anything to actually persist any data. So we'll get to that after we're done sort of building the framework here. I actually think I'm going to stop. I think I'm going to go do that now because equipment and abilities will take a lot more effort. And I want to add in a little bit of functionality here and start cleaning things up a little bit before I get to that point. So this is all one file, right? I've only written 124 lines of code here and we've got this. So that's pretty cool, right? Let's make it do things, right? So currently it says my cool character sheet. Let's make it so that if you put your character name in, then it changes from my cool character sheet to your character's name character sheet. So to do that, we're going to need our first bit of data, our first bit of state. So we're going to say let name equals state my cool character. Okay, we've got a variable called name, and this is a svelte thing. So I'm saying I want to create an application state that is the string of characters that say my cool character. It's a string of letters that says my cool character. And that's what name is by default. And now I can say input bind value equals name. When I do that, suddenly you'll see that name says my cool character. That's because I've bound that value to that input. Now I want to put that value in this heading. So we're going to say, instead of my cool character sheet, name apostrophe S character sheet. My cool characters sheet. So that updates. And now in real time, if I edit this, it edits the heading. So now we've got our data rigged up with a line of code. One line of code to make it so that I can write my name in here and the entire app knows about it. So we'll say Jordanian, right? Cool. Jordan Jordanian, my favorite fucking guy. He's so cool. He's so cool. Species, cool guy, right? So now we're going to do the same for species. We're going to do the same for all of the other stats. So that's not going to take a lot of effort. We'll say let species equals state, a blank species to start. Let XP total equals state 0. And then we're going to do the same for HP, SP, EP. So HP total, SP total, EP total. So now I've got all these new pieces of state, and I just need to plop them around. So placeholder shouldn't be your character name, it should be your character species here. We're going to say bind value equals species. Now that's there. We'll say for XP total, number bind value equals XP total. Neat. Rig up the rest. I should be able to just boink. Yep. HP total. Where am I? Bind value equals SP total. One more. Bind value equals EP total. And boom. Now we've got all of these things are all rigged up to some data. We'll do the same thing for talents, but instead, before I do that, I'm gonna start making things better, right? So I said first make it work, then make it good, then make it fast. So we're going to make things better. We're going to do the thing that like Svelte is meant to do, which is instead of writing all of this in one file, we're going to break out and create a reusable part that we will then be able to leverage to our advantage to make things a little easier. So we know that we've got 6 talents, and we know that each talent is going to have 3 options and is going to look relatively the same. So what I want to do is make a component, a reusable component that is a talent prowess selector. So I'm going to create a new file called talent.svelte. And in here, I'm gonna do the same thing. This is a whole new file. So script lang equals ts. The first thing I'm going to do is define what inputs this reusable component takes. So I'm gonna make an interface called talent props. Talent is going to be one of the options, so that's going to be a string. And then prowess, which will be either novice or adept or master. And then I want an on change, which is going to be a function that takes a string. Actually, it's going to take novice or, well, okay. Going deeper, type prowess equals novice or adept or master. Okay. So prowess will take a prowess. On change is going to be a function that takes a prowess and does something with it. So now we're going to do let talent prowess equals novice on change equals nothing equals props. So what that does is basically say, okay, we have a reusable component, our like talent capability selector, our talent prowess selector. And all it needs to know to work is what talent are we working with and what is the current prowess, and then give me something to do when the user changes the prowess level. So now we wrote all of those drop downs over back in our other file, right? So if we go to here, we've got all of these drop downs, which are all the same thing with a very slight difference. So we're just going to go ahead and take that and we're going to move it into our new component. We'll say div class equals talent selector. And then here, instead of just always saying muscle, we'll use the talent. So we know that we're going to be provided with the name of the talent that this represents. Here, the value is going to be, I need value. Not prowess, but value prowess. Value, and that's going to be required actually. So the select value will be the value that's passed in. And then here we're going to say option value equals novice, option value equals adept, option value equals master. So I didn't have the value before. The reason is because by default, an option's value is just whatever it contains. But I want to work with lowercase words. It just makes it a little easier to manage in programming stuff. So I'm saying this option's value is lowercase novice, but it displays as uppercase novice. So now I've got a drop down with these options here, and it takes the value that's been provided. It just needs to do one more thing, which is inform or do something when the value changes. That said, I'm just now realizing I could instead do this bind to I think that's the thing. Yes. Sweet. So I don't actually need that function to call something when the value changes, because instead we can just directly bind to that value just like we did with the other inputs. So in theory, unless I fucked up, which I maybe did, I can now go here. I can say I want to use that reusable component. Import, what do I call it? Talent. Yeah. So import talent from talent.svelte. And now here, I can say talent equals muscle, bind value equals novice. Oh, wait, I have to actually do this. Okay. Type prowess. Ignore the error. Who cares? Shut up, errors. Oh, we are out of music. We need music if we're going to be coding. Let's do not that. Synthwave. That's coding music. Okay, so we're going to say let muscle prowess equals state. Prowess novice. Okay. We're going to want that for all of them. Muscle, focus, knowledge, charm, cunning, spark. Okay, so now we have our stateful data for our talents. We're going to go down here. We're going to say bind value equals muscle prowess. Okay. So we can get rid of this. Get these. Muscle, focus, knowledge, charm, cunning, spark. Do that. Cunning prowess, charm prowess, knowledge prowess, and focus prowess. So you can now really visually see just how much we've cleaned that up. All of that code that used to take up more than the full screen is now just 6 lines, right? And we're seeing it here. Obviously, the styling is different. It doesn't have that same grid to it, but we can fix that later. That's not a big deal. And now we can actually go ahead and get rid of that. Cool. And now all of these are all bound. So I can be like, yay, cool. And I can use those values elsewhere. So let's just say like here, a character who is muscle prowess in muscle. Okay, so now we've got our character sheet up here. It has a little description. A character who is novice in muscle. But if I change that to master, it doesn't work. And I don't know why that is. Why did that not work? Muscle prowess is bound. Yay, live debugging. Why is that the case? Why would that be the case? Let's figure that out. Over in talent, let me actually look up how bindable stuff works again, because I don't always remember. Svelte, bindable, prop. How do? Oh, because I'm an idiot. I'm dumb. I'm big dumb. Bind value equals value. That's why. That's it. That should do it. Now, boom. Okay. Now it works. Didn't even need to debug. Figured it out. We've got up here a character who's novice in muscle, but if I change that to master, a character who's master in muscle. So we can see that I'm getting the data from the UI into the app to be able to then do stuff with. And the idea is going to be that for now, it's just going to like save the data and persist it so that if the person like refreshes the page, they come back and still have everything. But yeah, so we've got our character sheet, info, stats, talents. Let's make the talents look a little better real quick. We'll just say style.talent selector. We'll make you display. Let's do the same thing as before. Flex. And we'll say the H3 is flex 1, while the select is flex. I think I said 5 for the other ones. It's not a great way to go about doing it, but it works for now. it's functional. Align items center to center up the stuff. H3 should be text align center to look right. Cool. Sweet. Name, species, XP total, HP, SP, EP, muscle, focus, knowledge, charm, cunning, spark. Now we just need equipment and abilities. We are getting there, y'all. We're truly getting there. At the same time, I am also truly getting hungry. So I think that I've done a good bit here. I think I've kind of like shown what I'm going for here, and hopefully you get it. I will continue to work on this and show you where it's at next stream. Maybe hack on it a little bit more or something. But this is going to be fleshed out and then filled out with pre-built information that we looked at from those character sheets and sent out to be used for actual gameplay. So yeah, it's only been like 20-ish minutes maybe, and we got this thing while I was talking through it. I feel good about that. But I do very much need to go eat some lunch because I've been hungry for a bit here. So thank you for hanging out with me while I do a little bit of coding on this project. I am going to absolutely let folks know when there is like something worth playing with that I'm comfortable sharing. Hopefully sooner rather than later, but God, finding some time is difficult. Anyway, I'm going to be back on Monday, which I shouldn't have committed to because of reasons, but oh well. I'm going to be back on Monday for Stuff Keeps Happening, and then, of course, streaming again on Tuesday and Thursday, streaming every Tuesday and Thursday at 11 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time. Thank you all for hanging out with me today. I'm going to head out. I'm going to go get some food. I'm going to get some rest and work some more on this character sheet thingy. Take care. Be well. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.